Super Typhoon Bobby has now entered the Philippine area of responsibility and has been given the name Super Typhoon Inday. So I want to welcome you to this live coverage of this super typhoon that's just to the east of the Philippines. And up front, I'm not a meteorologist, I'm not a weatherman. Get that disclaimer out of the way. But there you go. If I pushed all the right buttons, you're seeing the current projected track coming from Pagasa. It's projected to turn north and head sort of north of Taiwan. So welcome to my live stream. Let me go to your comments and make sure you can hear me before I go any further. Okay, I got comments here. Somebody tell me about the video quality and the audio. Benito, how are you? Let's see. Zip, how you doing? Massa Blaster, Coral C, Benito. All right, so it looks like I'm broadcasting on YouTube. Hey, Jacob from Dallas. Let me get my old man glasses on here. I just got to check my technical equipment. Looks like we are live on Instagram. I'm not seeing the live on the Facebook. Let me refresh my screen. But it does look like I'm live on Twitch. Shout out to all my friends over on Twitch. Excited about being up on that new platform. So I'm not sure what happened to the Facebook. Just didn't get connected for some reason. Okay, so Jacob says the video and the audio is good. Fish on Aqua Bid says the video and audio are great. Coral C reporting 10 by 10 all is good. Alright, well, welcome to the live stream. And we'll just start covering what's going on with this storm. But right out of the gate, I'll show you current conditions here on the ground. And we're in the mountains right outside Subic Bay. So there you go right there. Pretty calm, no rain, just a little bit of maybe a 1 kilometer per hour wind going on. It's just a beautiful day here. Absolutely gorgeous day. Let's see, back to your comments, just make sure everybody. Alright, Dan says the new mic is good. Now that's a big question I've got. I did some more EQing with this microphone to put a little bit more bass, so let me know if it sounds better or worse than yesterday. Got JXX in the house, how you doing? Bert checking in. Scott, let's see, what makes this typhoon any different than any other? Well, that's a good question. I mean, it is a super typhoon, but hopefully the computer models and the tracks are right on, and this thing is going to go north and pretty much, I don't want to say miss the Philippines. We'll cover that in just a second, what Pagasa is saying. I think there's already been a signal raised on the northern, maybe Batanes. Let me get to the source material. But for the most part, my speculation is we're just going to get some rain and wind. Probably not a whole lot of damage. That's speculating like Ron Burgundy. Jordan from the Bay Area, California. We might barbecue tonight. Tom checking in from Sweden. How are you? Let's see. Jordan says I became so skinny. Yeah, I lost some weight over the past 2 years. Dan checking in from Calgary. So if you're just joining me, that's the graphic there. Let me see if I can get another graphic up on the screen here. And I'm not sure why I don't see my mouse. Okay, something going on with my mouse. Been having technical difficulties. My laptop's been going in and out. So there's another look. That's from the Windy app. If y'all can see that, you go back and make sure. This morning, for some reason, the second computer just don't want to connect right. So as you can see, it's already well past the northern Mariana Islands. The reports that I was seeing is, some people still without power there, without water, and still continuing on this track. Let's see, let's go to the next one just to get some different perspectives. Let's see, that's from AccuWeather.com. There's from Zoom Earth. And all the models are putting it, within a few degrees just north of Taipei, on the northern side of the island of Taiwan. Okay. Let's get over to, that's from panahan.gov.ph. And then let's get to Pagasa. There's Pagasa's feed and their track as well. So everybody just in a few degrees of the eye tracking north of Taipei. Okay, so I'll leave that graphic up on the screen for a second. Go back to your comments. My buddy always says I go too fast during the live stream, so I'll try to slow it down. Okay, so the question, do I think the Philippines will incur any damage other than high winds? Well, I can just speculate and listen to what Pagasa is saying. I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of damage, but you never know with the rain, with the southwest monsoon, the Habagat. So again, let me refer to Pagasa, what they're saying, so I don't put out any incorrect information. I think I'm going to be fine sitting here on Subic Bay. That's my personal opinion. As my buddy Kevin said yesterday, he's been here 15 years. All the storms go north. I'm sitting over here on the west side of Luzon. Mostly just raining in my personal experience, and that's his experience as well. Let's see, Maximus, how are you doing? Checking in from Chicago. Anna, how are you? Let's see, Taze, how are you doing? Like the $1 Million Studio better, thank you very much, including the microphone. Yeah, I had those panels on the back wall, and I got several messages that everybody didn't like them. There's those foam panels you put down on the floor in your workshop or whatever. I thought they would cut down with the reverb in the room, but they really didn't. So I just took them down. We're going to put a new background up here soon. Yes, we do have an escape plan. Photo Dave, how are you? Sammy the Bull, checking in from Rome. Thank you very much for the prayers. And yes, folks here are very resilient. They're used to typhoons, multiple typhoons coming through every year. They're used to it. It's just a way of life here. Like living down in South Florida, anywhere, living in Tornado Alley. It's just something you have to deal with. All right, Mike Escape says, be prepared for some heavy rain coming. Yeah, I'll agree with you. I think that's what we're going to experience. Heavy rain, some winds. Let's see, Claude Berry, how you doing? Yeah, well, I don't know if it's going to peter out by the time it gets to China, maybe downgrade. But yesterday I read an article where there's been a lot of flooding in some areas of China, and now if this thing comes right over their head, they're going to be in a bad situation with the flooding. Heath, how you doing? Checking in from Gary, Indiana. Overwatch from Waco. Let's see, Jack and Jennifer from West Virginia. Yeah, you got to have plans here. But again, as I talked about yesterday, in America, if there's a storm coming in South Florida and you really want to be safe, you just put your hurricane shutters up, jump in the car, drive up to Atlanta, get a hotel room. Once the storm passes, you drive back down and see what the damage is. A lot of folks here don't have that luxury for many reasons. Number one, this is an archipelago. There's used to be 7,107 islands. I think they've upped it. So if you were to take ground transportation, how far can you get? You know, Fatima's village on the northern end of Cebu, if we got in a car, we could make it down to the southern end, but then you run out of pavement. You got to get on a ferry. Most folks don't have the funding to bug out anywhere, so they just ride it out. They can't leave their local area. Maybe they go to a school or some type of hardened structure. That's their bug out plan because they don't have money to get on a flight, get on a ferry, to go anywhere. So they're used to just riding it out. Let's see, Bad Boy Travel checking in from Bohol, and the kids are doing well. Thank you very much for asking, Benito. So without further ado, let's go to Pagasa's recent update. We'll put that up on the screen there. Wait, I'm clicking the wrong one. I got the wrong mouse. And one mouse isn't working. Luckily I got the trackpad. There we go. Super Typhoon Inday. We scroll up a little bit. This is Tropical Cyclone Bulletin number 2. If you want to know where I'm pulling this from, this is coming from Pagasa, Philippine Atmospheric, Geophysical, and Astronomical Services Administration. So just get the information straight from the source. So this bulletin was issued at 5, and we should get another one at 11. Okay, there's their, I put it down there so you can see the track. There's their official track that they're putting out as of 5 a.m. this morning on July 8. Heavy rainfall outlook, and we're supposed to refer to weather advisory number 7, and I have that pulled up too. For the heavy rainfall outlook due to Inday and the southwest monsoon. So I'll go over that in just a second. Okay, severe winds and a lot of common knowledge there, but let's get down to what they're saying is the highest wind signal that may be hoisted throughout Inday's passage is wind signal 2 or 3. The enhanced southwest monsoon in the periphery of Super Typhoon Inday will bring strong to gale force gusts over the following areas. For today, now today's the 8th, Pangasinan, Zambales, Bataan, Calabarzon, and most of, I don't know what the acronym for that is, right? Mimaropa, Bicol region, most of the Visayas, and most of Mindanao. That's a huge portion of the PI. And that's one of the things that's very confusing here is when they say these signals, they list all of these areas and you got to go through. Sometimes it's confusing to figure out. They just list them all, it seems. But simplified, tomorrow on the 9th, most of the country. On Friday, most of the country. So today, Wednesday the 8th, certain areas, and then we go to everywhere. A gale warning will be issued today over the northern and eastern seaboards of Luzon and Visayas. Okay, and you want to pay close attention to this if you're a tourist here, if you're island hopping. Why? As we spoke about it yesterday. Once these certain signals go up, well, the ferries can't operate for obvious reasons, for safety reasons. And once the winds get too high, they shut down the ferry traffic, which is obviously what they need to do. And so if you're on a small island and you're planning on, getting up the next morning and heading back to Cebu or wherever you're at, you want to pay attention to what the signals are, because at some point they do shut down the ferry traffic until it's safe to resume the ferries. I told this story yesterday where, this is over a decade ago. They had shut down the ferries, and I made the mistake of getting on a pump boat that was going anyhow with a bunch of locals. And halfway across to that island on that voyage, I was wishing I had not done so. It was almost like a Gilligan's Island type adventure. So if they do shut down the ferry traffic from wherever you're at, don't take a pump boat. If they say, the pump boat's going, no. Okay, it's for your safety. So I just bring that up in case you're island hopping around. That's an issue you want to pay attention to. All right, let me scroll down here. Let's just get the rest of it in for the record. All kind of information there. And again, I'm getting this directly from Pagasa. Where was the thing at? Based on all available data, 1,405 kilometers east of northern Luzon. And it's moving westward at 25 kilometers per hour. Looks like it's still has maximum sustained winds of 185 kilometers per hour near the center, and gustiness up to 230 kilometers per hour. Okay, and there's your forecast positions over on the right. Okay, now one of the reports that this gentleman I was watching earlier brought up, he brought up a good point and said, the storm is just so big that there's still tropical storm level winds like 800 kilometers out from the eye of the storm. Okay, scroll down and see if we got anything else here. Okay, there's your wind signal number 1. Those are all the affected areas, and it'd take me all day to read all those off. Okay, but there you go. Let me come up and check the next graphic, or the next piece of information should be, there you go, weather advisory number 7. This was issued at 5 a.m. today, Wednesday, July 8th. And that's a rainfall. Looks like they're issuing it, I guess, for just Batanes on Friday, July the 10th. 50 to 100 millimeters. And then that's the projected rainfall due to the southwest monsoon, the Habagat, if I say that correctly. So Zambales, where I'm sitting, is on the list for Friday. Okay, for Friday. Current conditions here right now, it's a beautiful day overlooking Subic Bay. No problem. You got no idea a storm is on the way. But for tomorrow, just have a couple places listed, but then we go to Friday. Zambales is on the list. Zambales, Bataan, Metro Manila, Cavite, Batangas, on down the line. Localized flooding is possible mainly in areas that are urbanized, low-lying, or near rivers, and then the landslide possibility. So there you go. I mean, the simplicity reading this particular bulletin, what that tells me is that Friday, the kids are probably not going to have school. That's my takeaway. They'll probably go to school tomorrow, the Thursday, but Friday, and folks, I'm just speculating. I'm not saying that they're going to, but if they're putting this out, heavy rain, I just bring that up. The next advisory is going to be issued at 11 a.m. today. And there you go. So that's the latest coming straight from Pagasa. And we'll just go back to their graphic again, that's panahan.gov.ph. I don't know what Panahan is, to be honest with you. If I didn't tell you up front, I think I already said it. I'm not a meteorologist. I'm not a weatherman. Don't let the uniform fool you. Okay, with all that put out, let's go back to your comments, and I'll slow things down here. Let me go around the horn and check and see if I'm still live. Looks like I'm still good on Twitch. And shout out to all my friends over on Twitch. What am I up to there? I'm up to 16 followers on Twitch. Thank y'all very much. Go over to the Facebook. Did it finally connect? Looks like it did not. Don't know what happened. It looks like I'm still live on Instagram. Instagram gives me 1 hour before they time me out. And I'm not on Twitter yet because I got to pay Elon Musk some money to be able to live stream. All right, back to your comments, folks. Let's see, Harry, how you doing? Checking in from Brisbane. Scott wants to know, did I buy my wife that washing machine? Not yet. I'm still holding out. Still hoping for a miracle at the last minute that she says, I want a refrigerator. Still holding out. Because she can always wash clothes by hand, but she can't keep my beer cold. Lane's away. How you doing? Scroll back up here. Thank you very much. Beer again, yeah, we're going to stay safe here, and again, I don't think we're going to be impacted too much other than just some, a lot of rain and some wind. Michael, how you doing, my friend? Scott and Susan checking in from North Carolina. Wayne checking in from southwestern Florida. Barry over in San Bernardino. Yeah, Anna, it's going to give Taiwan a hard time. It's going to go right there in the vicinity of Taipei. So those folks up there need to be getting ready. It's tough, but one should always have bug out funds, food, and ammo. Hey, Papa Smurf, how you doing? Okay, and Anna says when my sister was a kid there in the 70s, the whole village would go to the cement school. Yeah, just get to a hardened structure. Daniel checking in from Pittsburgh. Let's see, Harry. Let's see. Let me see if I can put some of the links up on the screen. You know what? I have the technology to do that. So that is a good thing that I could put up there. Okay. So I'll put one up there. See if I get it in there right. And y'all can check that link. See if it goes to, is that link? Oh, wow. Okay, so it sent it to YouTube. It sent it to Twitch. That's the Wendy.com app. But let me give you the official one here. It's Panahan. I don't even know what that is, but it's .gov.ph. It's somehow connected to Pagasa, I guess. Let me copy that. I'm glad y'all asked because you can check these links. Okay, there we go right there. So that is the link to the graphic that I have up on the screen. But let me also put the link up to Pagasa, where you get all the warnings from and all the good information here in the Philippines. Government website. So here, that's coming up here. Okay, so here we go. Okay, that's the link right there from Pagasa. And then if you go to tropical cyclone, it's got tropical cyclone advisory. And no, it says bulletin. Tropical cyclone bulletin. You know what? No time like the present. I'll give you that too. Let's see. So if you wonder where all this information and the magic and the maps are coming from, there's the links right there. So if somebody, I don't think it actually hyperlink, you got to copy and paste that. But there you go. Now you know where I'm getting my information and what I'm looking at. Let's see, D-Man, how you doing? Well, it's not really headed our way as long as it follows the computer map and the model that you see on your screen, which most of the models, they're all in agreement, give or take a few degrees up there near Taipei. So we're hoping that this thing follows the track, cuts a right turn, and just basically the eye is going to bypass us. We'll get some rain from the outer bands. That's what they say. But with that said, do I trust a computer model or AI or whatever they're using? Not 100%. So in my mind, you know, I'm planning on the thing just driving on its course that it's on. We're prepared. We'll ride it out. But if that thing takes the right turn and heads north like everybody says it's going to do, that would be wonderful for us and for the PI. And it'll be headed up there towards Taiwan. Yeah, I've come a long way over the years with technology. You know, when you're drinking, you can't sit here and put all this stuff together. It's just too much, especially for a dude from my generation. The young bucks, they can put this stuff together, no problem. But I didn't really properly figure out all this stuff till I quit drinking and started reading. You know what I mean? Amazing what you can do when you read like a manual or watch a tutorial. Let's see, Will checking in from Columbia, South Carolina. Andy says, last year I was in El Nido, Palawan for Typhoon Tino. The storm was amazing. See, Rokon checking in from Montana. Let's see, Wayne in Florida. Earl Hicks from Mississippi. How you doing? And Mr. Pink checking in from Manila. Says we will miss the larger part. I agree. At least that's what I'm hoping. Boom! Klinsky coming off the top ropes of the octagon. Is the new Yamaha washing machine undercover? Yes, it is. It's under the carport. Our carport is pretty dry. I mean, if it's really coming some wind, it'll blow some rain in there. But yeah, it's undercover. Matter of fact, I'll give you a quick peek at it right there. You can see the mirrors. And again, that's current weather conditions here overlooking Subic Bay. You can see the goat in the background, quite happy. It's a little bit, the highlights are a little bit blown out, as we say. It's just so bright out there. I got to change that camera with some ND filters. Should be able to see the cow in the background and a goat in the foreground. But they're so light colored and like I said, I need an ND filter, so I'll change that camera out. But that's your current weather conditions here near Subic Bay. And I will put another camera that I had yesterday towards the mountains, but I can't put it up there now because the sun is there. It's too bright. I gotta wait till the sun gets up, maybe about another hour, then I can show you the mountains. But just beautiful weather here where I'm sitting. Let's see. Yes, our house is concrete with a tin roof, but it's solid. It's a solid built house. We're up on high ground, so to speak. I'm not concerned about any type of flooding here at our place. We're sort of up on a little bit of elevation, so we're going to be good to go. Low-lying areas, we used to live down in Barreto, and our house was fine, but our street was not. So when it come a good rain, the street turned into a mini river. Not a huge deal. You just couldn't leave the house for a while until a few hours until the water went down. But now we're good where we are at. Concrete house, a little bit of elevation. So we're just basically going to ride things out. We will be fine. Our neighbors actually have a house with a concrete roof, flat roof, like it was going to be built 2 stories. So if worse comes to worse, we'll run next door to the neighbors. We'll be perfectly fine. Yeah, I got multiple. Man, I got 3 camera angles. Well, I got myself at 2 camera angles plus the laptop piped in here. Technology. Steve's checking in from Mindanao. Flew in this weekend from the U.S. East Coast. Still waking up at 4 a.m. All right, man. Well, welcome back. Welcome back to the neighborhood. Yeah, Forrest G loves to ride. He loves to ride the trike, the motorcycle. When I come in from taking his sister to school, I have to stop in the road. He comes out, jumps on the bike just to drive it up under the carport. He loves it. Let's see. Alias 55, prime time, or look at you, prime time weather expert. Let's see. Greetings from Port Kimblin, New South Wales, Australia. All right, my friend, thanks for watching. Hope you're doing well. Let's see. Zhao Bao, is Fatima more concerned about the typhoon or something else? I don't know. I don't think she's really too concerned. She'll just come in. Like, it's so funny. Yesterday I did this long live stream about the typhoon. This morning she comes running in. She done read something on the Facebook. She said, "The typhoon is here now?" I said, "Baby, didn't you watch my live stream yesterday? If you want to know the updated information, you just need to tune into today's live stream." She didn't listen to a word I said yesterday. Probably ain't gonna listen now, but she sees one sentence on Facebook, then she gets concerned. Let's see, KC Cool Daddy, how you doing? Yeah, so folks, if you're just joining me, the graphic up on the screen and the track basically shows it was Super Typhoon Bobby, which is the international name. But once a storm enters the Philippine area of responsibility, they give it a local name. So Bobby now becomes Inday here in the Philippines. And everybody's still got the track on that thing, taking a right turn, heading north by northwest, just to the north of Taipei, Taiwan. A few degrees in there. So hopefully mostly missing the Philippines. As long as it stays on that track, we will get some wind and rain from the outer bands. And also in addition to the southwest monsoon, the Habagat. So according to the bulletin that I just read earlier, my takeaway was it's going to start raining here on Friday. It might start raining tomorrow, but the warning said Friday for Zambales. So I'm speculating here, just speculation, old single dad, this isn't the weatherman, but my speculation is the kids will probably have school tomorrow, and they probably won't go to school on Friday. Or they might miss Monday. That's just my speculation. Okay, I could be wrong about that. But what do we really want to know? Step one, do the kids got to go to school? Is school canceled? You're keeping an eye on this. Once they raise, I can't even remember. during orientation at the kids' school, they went over this. If signal 1 is raised, this happens, signal 2 is raised, and I've already forgot. I took some notes, but basically you know if certain signals are raised, they're automatically canceled. Let's see. If you can put that satellite video on your back wall and get Fatima to dress up as the weather girl, she will point to the map as you talk, like in The Price is Right with Vanna White, Big Money. That's a great suggestion. Now, I could do that, and I could do it 2 ways. One way is to, put a green screen, or actually I could paint the wall green. It works, but not as good as just hanging a green screen back there. It's basically just imagine a green plastic tarp, so to speak. And I could put her back there as Vanna White, as the weather girl. Or I could just hang a TV back there and not have to deal with the green screen issues. A lot of people do that these days. They don't even mess with the green screen. They just put a big screen back there. So much easier. Maybe I'd do that. I was trying to explain to her about weather girls, down in Central and South America. People watch the weather down there, or Mexico too. I watch the weather to look at the weather girls, not because I care about the weather. But I don't know. I don't know if I could get her to get dressed up. If she could get dressed up like Vanna White, just point around to the map. I might have the best weather show on YouTube. But Big Pumpkin will probably get tired of pointing to things on the map in about 3 minutes. She wouldn't last very long. But yeah, great idea. Okay, again, folks, if you're just joining us here on the stream, you should be seeing on your screen the track. Yeah, Vanna White was Wheel of Fortune. But back in the day, that's the game shows you watch. Wheel of Fortune and The Price is Right. You had to. There's the track right there. I'll put some different graphics up here. For some reason, I lost connectivity with my mouse. Get my old man glasses back on. I'll show you some different graphics. But that's coming from panahan.gov.ph. Let's just go over and take a look from the Windy app so you can get a different perspective. Now look, I don't know how accurate these things are. And my personal experience doing these live streams, looking at that map while the thing was over my head, and nothing was happening in that last storm. Literally, you saw this monster over the top of us. It wasn't even raining. It wasn't doing anything. But there you go. That's the graphic from Windy. And somebody said yesterday they went to college and studied to be a weatherman, and none of this stuff is anywhere accurate. I don't know, folks. All I know is I can show you what I'm seeing. You can go to the website, see the same thing, and then we have to interpret that, listen to the weathermen interpret it, and then compare that to conditions on the ground. All right, so let's go to the next one just to take a look. Okay, that right there, man, put my glasses back on. That one's from AccuWeather. Let's refresh the screen. Okay, there you go right there. That's AccuWeather. I was going to put the Weather Channel on here too, just to take a look. And the Weather Channel's website looks like it hasn't been upgraded since 1998. This is from Zoom Earth. So as you can see, top to bottom of the storm pretty much is like the size of the Philippines, north to south. So if it maintains its strength and size, you can imagine when the eye is here, Luzon is still well within those outer bands. Let's keep going here. Back to panahan.gov.ph, and then that's Pagasa right there. And again, if you're just joining me, you can scroll up in the chat. I put all the links. I guess what I need to do in tomorrow's stream is take all those links, put them in the description. I don't know why I don't do that. That way you can take a look for yourself. All right, let's just go back to the bulletin. That's the bulletin right there. Put that on the screen if anybody's just joining us. We'll leave that up there for a little bit. Okay, can you all, everybody see that? I think everything's in frame there. That's the latest bulletin issued by Pagasa at 5 o'clock this morning. There should be a new one coming out at 11. And that shows, that's a pretty good graphic because it shows you where the eye is going to be at what time. So it looks like 2 a.m. on Friday. I say Thursday night, so it should be raining. It should be raining tomorrow night. And again, if you compare that to the bulletin here, talking about the rainfall, in my mind, I'm just thinking, the kids aren't going to have school on Friday. If they do, I would be surprised. I'll keep that back up there for a minute while I go check your comments. Yeah, I could be a meteorologist. I could do it. Boom, Klinsky coming off the top ropes again. You put that on the screen. Tell Forrest G to give them girls hell. That's my dude. I love watching him beat to his own drum. Yep. He's my partner, man. He's my buddy. And, you know, he's always surrounded by Filipinas. So he's got under a lot of stress, the same as old single dad. Okay, so it looks good up on the screen. Might need to make some adjustments on the Instagram feed. But again, thank you very much, my friend. Yeah, online clowns. Yeah, Vanna White's Wheel of Fortune, not The Price is Right. Let's see, Hank, how you doing? When will this hit you guys? Well, the eye's going north of us, but I'm thinking tomorrow night it's going to start raining pretty hard, and then Friday, and we'll go from there. But that's just what I interpreted from all of the bulletins I just read. Let's see, question. Well, hold on. Rome says, good morning. Put Joy Joy and Fatima as your weather girls backdrop, translating from English to Tagalog. I could do that. The problem, like I said, Big Pumpkin would last maybe 3 minutes before she claims that her arm is too tired. Then Joy Joy, you know, she's so shy. I don't know if she'd make it 2 or 3 minutes. I'll have to try to talk them into it. I can set it up. I can do the green screen, or I can put them in front of the big screen. I just don't think that they would go the distance It'll probably be like a cameo appearance. Let's see. DBA Videos Philippines. Good morning. Good morning to you and your family. Looking good here in San Isidro. Alright, Janice has your info. As far as flood, she can contact me for any assistance. Alright, well, thank you very much, my friend. Mr. G asked, does the PI school system have school makeup days if they're shut down for weather events? No. In my experience, no. You know, because there's just too many days. They, you know, obviously got makeup work and stuff, but no, there's no days for them to have makeup days. I guess they'd have to go on Saturdays. And no, I'm not saying they don't. I'm just saying in my experience, you know, the kids do miss a lot of days because of inclement weather. And, you know, they'll get additional work or makeup work, but no makeup days, in my personal experience. Andy says, buy a Fatima washing machine. I'm still holding out. I keep asking her every day, you want a washing machine or a refrigerator? She keeps holding on the washing machine. Yeah, be careful riding the new bike in bad weather because the road surfaces are sketchy at best. That's good advice. When it's raining, you know, the bike is basically augmenting our daily life. If it's a beautiful day, take the kids to school on the bike. If it's raining, we call it trike. So we don't get out on the roads when it's raining with the kids. And yeah, that's good advice to anybody, especially when it first starts raining and it mixes the water and the oil, and it's very slick. So I'm not saying that I don't ride in the rain, but you know, I'm very calculated about it, slow, careful, and if I don't have to, I'm not going to. So pretty simple. Go outside, it's raining, call the trike. Got a dog barking in the background. Not too loud though, it's a small dog. Welcome to everyday life. Jordan Melby checking in from sunny Seattle. How you doing, my friend? Yeah, folks, our electric bill went from $21 US to 39, and I was hoping for a 19. I was hoping for 19. It went to what, 38 or 39. Went the wrong direction. It's another reason I'm not really excited about picking up this washing machine. It's just gonna make my bill keep going north. Let's see, Australian guy, how you doing? Yeah, I wish I had some popcorn. I'm fresh out of popcorn right now. Okay, so let's put the graphic back up on the screen. Out of all the graphics, okay, that's Pagasa's graphic right there. That's the graphic that I like the best, and that's coming from, again, panahan.gov.ph. There we go. So if you're just joining us, that's the storm, that's the track, which puts it basically, you know, hooking to the right. The eye's going to be well away from Luzon, but we're going to get hit by some of the outer bands on the bottom side. Yeah, if you want a Captain Caveman weather outlook, let me give you the current conditions here in the mountains overlooking Subic Bay. There you go. We got a light breeze. I can't tell if there's any clouds out there now, but it looks like the cow is happy, just chilling out there, not running for cover. Just a beautiful sunny day. No issues here at our house near Subic Bay, but not too far To the east of us is Super Typhoon Inday. So, this storm here, I think it's just one of those where you got to be prepared. Obviously, don't let your guard down. The minute that you let your guard down, that's when you get burned, right? But this storm here, I think it's just one of those, you got to keep an eye on it like any storm. But it's just going to dump some rain on our head as long as it follows that track. But again, a couple things you don't want to trust with your life. You always want to err on the side of safety. So let's just say, what if? What if that thing didn't take the turn to the north like everybody says? Well, yeah, it's coming straight for us as a super typhoon. So again, we're prepared. What's the basic, Captain Obvious? You want to make sure you got plenty of drinking water. Electricity goes out, what's going to happen? Electricity goes out, the water goes out. Electricity goes out, the water stations, they can't operate. You got to have electricity, run those pumps and the filters to create filtered water. You can't drink the tap water here. So the simplest solution, fill up all your water jugs today, because tomorrow, by Friday, it's probably going to be raining. So either if you're here in the Philippines today or tomorrow, go fill up all your water jugs just in case. And somebody said, well, you can boil water. Well, yeah, sure you can, but it's much easier to go fill up all your water jugs right now. And I think I'm going to adopt a policy where, like, every time a typhoon comes, I'm going to buy 2 more water jugs. You know what I mean? Just every time a typhoon comes, go buy 2 more. I think we had like 10, but through just wear and tear, I don't know, I think we're down to 6 or 7. They break and the valves start leaking or they crack or whatever. So I think we have like 6 or 7 water jugs. But again, here in the PI, you can't drink the tap water. Somebody said yesterday, make sure you just have a strong supply of beer. Well, there you go. How did people used to cross the oceans? Beer. Well, that's a great idea. Even though I quit drinking 2 years ago, I should probably have like 10 cases of beer just in a case of emergency. Okay, I'll go back to your comments. And that's the question, Mr. G. Have you pre-stocked water, rice, food in case the weather storm hits and stores shut down? Yeah, we're always good. We're always setting. In big sack of rice, water jugs filled up, canned goods. We can ride it out. We can ride it out, no problem. Yeah, lanes away. The wine you're talking about is Carlo Rossi California Red. I said it'd have to be one of my favorite wines of all time. It does have some effects on us men folks. Don't want to talk about it during this live stream. I might get spanked by the Google squirrels, but go get you some Carlo Rossi California Red. Let me know what happens. Hey Douglas, thank you very much, my friend. Thank you very much. Hope you're doing well. Whatever works. So you're a weather guy now. Well, actually I'm not a professional meteorologist, but it's okay to play one here on YouTube for your entertainment purposes. No, I'm not a weatherman, I'm not a meteorologist, but I can sit here and have a informal discussion about the storm that's heading my way. And okay, I'm not a meteorologist by definition, or am I? Because here's the thing. My weather report on conditions overlooking Subic Bay, current conditions, not a forecast. I can 100% tell you the current conditions right this moment by just doing this right here. Boom, right there. That's the current conditions, 100% accurate. Is it raining? Well, all I gotta do is look outside. If Big Pumpkin's clothes are still on the fence, it's not raining. If all of a sudden I see her, or I hear her say, "Oh shit," and I see her running and gathering the clothes off of the fence, that means it's raining. 100%. You don't gotta have a computer graphic. You don't have to have a degree in whatever. You don't have to be a meteorologist to report current conditions. Okay? And I back it up with cameras. Boom! WM Walsh 5'5" coming off the top ropes of the octagon. Thank you very much, my friend. And for some reason, let me put that back up there. I don't know what happened there. There we go. Thank you very much. I hope you're doing well. And my Instagram, I gotta make this thing a little. If you're watching on Instagram, thank you very much for joining us. Don't have really a huge presence there. Occasionally I'll post a photo. But there we go right there. Maybe that's better. Make this one a little bit. Okay, not sure what happened. Technology. Again, thank you very much, WM Walsh. Certainly appreciate it. Yeah, if you Buchanan Sleeve says good place for weather. Well, if you want to be a weatherman, the Philippines is a very active place to be a weatherman, to do storm reporting. You know, all these, what do they call them, storm chasers come over here. You know, and they'll try to get to where the storm's going to hit, what have you. Which they do what they do, but there's so many people from everywhere broadcasting live anyhow from their Facebook or whatever. Okay, it's more accurate forecasting the opposite to the majority of the corporate weather channels while drinking. Well, you know, what I was talking about yesterday, one of the reasons I like doing these streams is that if I were sitting in the US right now, right, and I got family, which I do here in the PI, and I'm sitting here listening to the news reports, and I see this big monster super typhoon headed towards the Philippines. Well, obviously you're concerned about your family members. There's a super typhoon coming. You know, you're concerned, you're panicking, you're worried. And what does the mainstream media going to do? They're going to hype it. They're going to sensationalize it to keep you glued to the screen. And just for example, that last one we did in Angeles City, it looked nasty. But I got a camera pointed at the trees, and you could clearly see that the trees weren't moving. If the trees aren't moving and there's no rain on the live feed camera, how bad is it? So if more people did these live feeds like this, I'm not saying they don't, but you know what I'm saying. If I can look at a live feed from the town where my kids are and judge for myself, I would feel a lot better and a lot more at ease than watching this weather radar. That's just me. You know, say the kids are in Fatima's village and I see this thing coming. Okay, show me a live feed from Don Bantayan and let me judge for myself. That's just me. Okay, so it looks like Instagram has timed me out. So Instagram gives you 1 hour on the nose and then they time you out. I don't know what that's about, but that's what they do. Maybe you can pay them some money and keep going. I don't know. But it looks like that's what happened on Instagram. Let's see, I was a no-go on getting up and running on Facebook for some reason. Not sure what happened there. But you know what? Twitch is hanging in there. And again, I don't really know much about Twitch, but the video quality that's broadcasting to Twitch is on time. Just perfect quality. Got no problems with Twitch. Your Facebook feed doesn't look clear. Instagram gives you an hour, and Twitter wants me to pay them some money. And some of y'all said to check out Kick. I don't know much about that. I still got to check that out. All right, back to your comments here. No, I didn't hear anything about the volcano. Didn't hear anything about that. And again, you know, a lot of these things, you know, the volcanic activity, the earthquakes, the stuff is so frequently, like, you know, on lower levels, it doesn't really make the news too much. Okay, consider to have a live feed small screen on this video corner plus the wife's village on a live feed of the chickens. And Jacob says, have you thought about streaming on Kick? Yeah, I've thought about it because people mentioned it. I just have to get over there and try to figure it out, how to pipe it into my software here. And this is what I've come to realize too. You know, I'm up on Rumble. I post some videos over there, but I can't live stream. There's a problem with verifying my account. You can't get nobody to help you. Some type of glitch. I can't get the damn thing verified. But like, I'm on YouTube. But when you go to Kick and Rumble and these other platforms, you can really say and do whatever the heck you want. I'll just sort of leave it at that because I've just checked out some live streams over on Rumble. And I'm like, you couldn't get away with that stuff, saying that stuff or the locations they were at. You can't get away with that stuff here on YouTube. A lot more free on the other platforms. Okay. All right. Well, let's, you know, I got folks that are popping in and out. So if you're just joining me, that graphic that you see on the screen, I'll go ahead and put it in the comments one more time. People popping in and out. I'll put this feed into the comments where you can click on it and check it out for yourself. It's panahan.gov.ph. There we go, right there. And then if you want to see the latest severe weather bulletin from Pagasa that was issued at 5 a.m., I'm going to put that on the screen as well. There you go. There's the link to that one. So those websites right there, government sites, good information. And we got the golfer checking in. How you doing, my friend? Thank God you won't have to worry about air conditioning with this storm. Collect as much rainwater as possible, and you can save on bottled water also. Absolutely correct. You know, I rolled the dice when we moved to this place. I said, you know what, I'm not buying an air con. And the first month we were here, it was a little toasty midday. We made it. Now at night, it's cool, especially with the rain. It's cool during the day. I'm sitting in this room right now. I got a fan going. I'm fine. I even got one of the windows blocked because of the sunshine. And once the sun gets up, I can open that one up, create a draft in the room. It's even more cool. But I don't predict that I'll have to buy an air con at least until after the rainy season. You know, next February, March, somewhere in there, April, I don't know. Right now, no need for an air con. Plenty of people here in the village, I don't say plenty, a few people here in the village have air cons and they never run them. Right now, it's just cool enough, you don't need to. Plus, air con would run up my light bill. I mean, imagine going from like a $200 light bill to a $21 light bill just by getting rid of the air con. To simplify things. Yeah, no washing machine. Well, had installed an air con. There'd be an air con right there sitting on the wall, not running. You know what I mean? It's like a wall fixture. My $19 light bill is possible if I don't get the washing machine. Yeah, it's about time to head to the beach for another cookout. We haven't been to the beach in a few weeks. Still got some camping trips planned. Obviously the weather, you know, we got to time it right with the weather. But we want to get back to camping up in those coves between here and Pundocket. But again, I gotta get my camping gear stocked back up. We gave all of our camping gear away to our boat crew when we left here years ago. So I have zero camping gear. The only piece of camping gear I kept was the tent. Y'all know what happened to the tent. It's down there with her sister, probably in a state of disarray. So we basically have zero camping gear other than the cooler. I did get my cooler back from Janice. Shout out to Janice. Thank you for bringing my cooler back. See, Owen, how you doing? Tuning in live from the vineyard. Yeah, I'll take y'all for another ride on the new motorcycle. And the bike's running great. It runs great. The one thing though, that bike is built to carry a load. And it's like riding in a 3/4 ton truck. Unless you have a load on it, it rides rough. You know, it's not like riding like a Cadillac. So if I put Big Pumpkin on the back and Forrest G or Maria, thing rides smooth. But if it's just me, it's a little bit rough. It's a very stiff suspension on that Yamaha, what was it, YTX 125. But again, great bug out vehicle. I could fit everybody on the back of that bike. You know, for example, if Pinatubo were to blow, I throw the whole family on that bike and boom, we're 300 kilometers away before I've got to even look for a gas station. Hey, Felton. Yeah, my missing goats are probably in my tent down there. All right, folks. Let's go back to the bulletin. And I know I keep going back and forth, but I got folks On these types of streams, people pop in, they pop out, and they'll end up with a lot of views. Some of them do a lot of views, but it's because people are popping in trying to get some quick information and popping out. Okay, Diciembre 1977. Looks like the outer bands will hit Okinawa, Japan. Lovely memories there for sure. Let's see, Tazewell, get a simple solar setup. Yeah, the reason that, well, y'all know we move around a lot. We're expeditionary. And that's why we don't have a lot of solar stuff. If we were to, buy a piece of dirt, build a house, what have you, obviously I would start investing in solar. But the way we move around right now, that's why we don't have a lot of solar stuff. Let's see, have I heard of Restream? No, I've never heard of that, Donald. Upload your video to YouTube, and Restream uploads to up to 30 different platforms in the same that you uploaded to YouTube. I haven't heard of that. BitChute, I've heard of that. I have no idea what it is, though. I focus on YouTube. Everything else is just feeding into our YouTube channel. The more platforms you can stream to, okay. But like today, the Facebook feed did not get cranked up for whatever reason. I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. I'm not saying I don't care, but it's not a priority. Everything I do feeds into YouTube. Yep. Joe, how you doing? Only two kinds of riders: those been down, those going down. That was the advice given to me back in the 80s by an old timer. And sure enough, 10 years later, I went down. Lanes away. Would love to see you grill a big fat steak, sip some wine or some good old Jack and Coke, tuna and prawns for the ladies. Yeah, because a lot of people ask, why don't you cook hamburgers and steaks? Filipinos don't want to eat steaks. They're not down with that. They're really not big on hamburgers. She'll eat one every now and then. Beef is just not big here. So even if I said, hey, y'all want me to cook some steaks? No, they're not down with it. I'd be down with a steak. Yeah, we're still going to do the chicken feet competition. Just got to get everybody lined up. Who is Inday? Well, the Typhoon's international name is Super Typhoon Bobby. And every time I hear that, B-A-V-I, it just makes me think of Ricky Bobby. I don't know why. But once the storm enters into the Philippine area of responsibility, it receives a local name. So the local name is Super Typhoon Inday. But the international name is Bobby. It's a little bit confusing, but that's the way they do things here in the PI. All right, let me go back, refresh the screen over here. Take a look at the Windy app. Let's refresh that. See what we're looking at there. So there you go. Definitely inching closer. Just marching westward with the anticipated track to start or continue marching northwestward towards Taiwan. And this mouse quit working. What can I do here? All right, this is a picture from AccuWeather. Let me refresh the screen here so we're accurate, up to date. There we are right there. I'm gonna get my old man glasses back on and zoom in a little bit, see what their graphic looks like. There we go, right there. So it's still a pretty good sized storm. Yeah, and talk about the motorcycle, yeah. You got dual shocks in the back, makes it a rougher ride without having a load on it. Again, it's like if you ever had a 3/4 ton pickup truck, it rides rough, or 1 ton. You put a load of bricks in the back, thing rides like a Cadillac. It's the same way with this bike. If I'm on it by myself, and a lot of the roads here are not smooth. There's a couple roads I just can't ride on anymore because it's just like this the whole time, just rattle your teeth out. But if I put Big Pumpkin on the back, then it's fine. Then I can ride that road because it's a smooth ride with load. That's from Zoom.Earth. Zoom.Earth. That's their graphic. It looks like the track that they're referencing, you know, they're all within a few degrees just north of Taipei. So if I were sitting in Taipei right now, looking at this, okay, it's coming right for us. And again, in 1 hour, Pagasa will put out a new bulletin. The last bulletin that they put out was at 5 this morning. Okay, Jerry, take care, my friend. We'll see you on the next one. Okay, Art, yes, the international name is Super Typhoon Bavi. But once it enters the Philippine area of responsibility, it gets a local name. Super Typhoon Inday. Okay, so with that, just rotate between the graphics here for people that are popping in and out. There's the latest from Pagasa, which was issued at 5 a.m. Super Typhoon Inday is now inside the Philippine area of responsibility. And there's your track and also the times, the date and times. I like that, where they put the date and the time of where the eye is projected to be. So that's a really good graphic they put together there. And if you look at the graphic, it looks like, okay, if you see 2 p.m. on 9 July, which is tomorrow, Thursday, they're still indicating that it's a super typhoon. But then you go 12 hours ahead to Friday at 2 a.m., according to their graphic, it looks like it's being downgraded to a typhoon. And again, I'm not a weatherman, I'm not a meteorologist, but I can read their graphic. So all I'm doing is interpreting the graphic put out by Pagasa. And then, you know, what my speculation is, I'm speculating like Ron Burgundy, is that there's going to be a lot of rain on Friday, and probably my kids won't have school on Friday. I don't know that for a fact. I'm just speculating. What does the average person want to know? You want to know those basic things. Hey, is it going to flood? Kids are going to have school? That's what you want to know, right? Okay, so good. Just to go over a couple of things. The enhanced southwest monsoon and the periphery of Super Typhoon Inday will bring strong to gale force gusts over the following areas. Today, You got Pangasinan, Zambales, Bataan. So I'm sitting in Zambales. So according to this bulletin, we should be, seeing some wind gusts today, which is Wednesday, July the 8th. Right now, check current conditions. Okay, it does look like right now, here in the mountains overlooking Subic Bay, we got a little bit of wind picking up. That's a 100% current to the moment accurate weather report right there. The wind is picking up where I'm at. It's not raining, but a little bit more wind here overlooking Subic Bay. And then talking about tomorrow, which is 9 July, Thursday, most of the country. Friday, most of the country. Okay, let's scroll down if you're just joining us. Okay, that's the location. It's moving westward at 25 kilometers per hour. Maximum sustained winds of 185 kilometers per hour near the center, and gustiness up to 230 kilometers per hour. So again, I'll leave that up there for a while for people just tuning in. That graphic again is from Pagasa. If you scroll up in the chat, you'll see the links. Amazing air show videos. How are you? Overstay Road Global Broadcasting Networks. Pretty impressive. Professional look and distribution everywhere. Thank you very much, my friend. Thank you very much. Got John tuning in from Canada. Yeah, windy is one of the graphics that I put up here. Let's see, Aldemar, how are you? Yeah, it's been a while since I've read the Bible on top of the mountain. Okay, so speaking of windy, we'll go ahead and put that app back up on the screen. That's the graphic right there from windy.com. And out of all the graphics, I like the windy one, but the best graphic that I like looking at is from panahan.gov.ph. And I guess I still have to figure out what Panahan means, but it's a government site, and I got to that graphic through messing around with Pagasa, I guess. But that's very similar to the Windy app, but that's coming from a government site. So if you're just joining us, there's the track. It's going to track north towards Taiwan with the outer bands impacting parts of Luzon even further. What's the simplicity again? Simplicity is going to start raining tomorrow, and the kids might not have school on Friday. That's my prediction, but I'm not a weatherman. Okay? Back over to your comments. Scroll up here. Got 95 thumbs ups. If y'all don't mind, hit that thumbs up because it helps out with the Google squirrels. The Google squirrels, they control everything about this game. They turn all the knobs and decide whether or not they put our thumbnail in front of your screen. See, Donald, how are you? That typhoon is going to completely miss the Philippines. That's what we're hoping. That's what we're hoping. Other than just a little bit of wind and rain, we're hoping that it just keeps on heading north. Now, obviously, if you're sitting over in Taipei or in China, you're going to get ready for some rain. That would be quite, like I said in the past streams, right? Doing these live streams when the storm's coming, I don't want there to be any damage. I don't want there to be any fireworks, right? So I'm hoping that the thing heads north too. And then these streams that I do turn into be just big nothing burgers, what my buddy says. Let's see, how are they enjoying the Soccer World Cup over there? Good question. I don't really know. Got the Pandy Saw guy driving by. Got a dude who comes by. Well, actually got several dudes who come by on the motorbike with the Pandy Saw. Fresh baked rolls. Got a little oven on there. Yeah, I'm not sure. Like over in Thailand, everybody watches football. In America, you call it soccer. The rest of the world calls it football. But like over in Thailand, it's big in the bars. Most of my drinking buddies and friends over there, they're either British, Australian, European. Over here, I don't really know. I don't know if the bars are covering it. I'm sure they are. But I haven't been out and about. I don't know if the bars are opening at various times and covering it. I'm sure some of them are. But Thailand, oh yeah, is big over there. Okay, Lone Star had family in Guam, just got hit by Typhoon Bobby. Okay, we had, hope they're okay, my friend. Hope everything's okay. Had some comments yesterday, folks checking in from that region, and they said basically folks are without power, a few folks don't have water. Now, I didn't hear any reports of any casualties, which is obviously a good thing. Maybe that's not accurate, but that was the last report I heard. Pro Media, how you doing? Checking in from East Texas. Hope you're doing well. Okay, back over here. See what time we got. So we got about an hour before the next update gets released from Pagasa. I guess what I'll do, let me just pull up some news articles and see what the media is putting out. Let's see, super. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to quote from ABS-CBN. Okay, wind signal number 1 up in 7 provinces as Super Typhoon Inday enters the Philippine area of responsibility. This was published this morning, which Wednesday, July 8, 8:40 a.m. Okay, so Super Typhoon Inday entered the PAR at 3 a.m. according to Pagasa. And as of 5 a.m., signal number 1 is now up in 7 provinces: Batanes, Cagayan, Northern and Central Isabela, Apayao, Eastern Kalinga, Northern Aurora, Northern and Central Catanduanes. These areas may start to experience strong winds in the next 36 hours. So the takeaway is there are some areas under Signal 1 already. According to ABS-CBN News, which is referencing Pagasa. Okay, more areas may be placed under wind signals as the winds extend up to 900 kilometers from its center. According to Pagasa, signal 2 or 3 could be the highest wind warning that may be raised. That's what they're projecting. Still packing sustained winds of 185 kilometers per hour with gusts up to 230 kilometers per hour, moving west at 25 kilometers per hour. And should maintain its intensity while moving generally west-northwestward. It can then weaken into a typhoon and continue steadily weakening while moving northwestward until it exits the PAR on Saturday, July 11th. Landfall over the Philippine landmass remains unlikely, but it may pass close to Batanes on Friday, July 10, bringing strong winds and heavy rains to the province. So folks, Batanes, those islands are north of Luzon, and maybe I can pull them up on the map. Well, you can sort of see them right there. Maybe I'll pull a better map up where you can see, but those islands are north of Luzon. Obviously going to be, Philippine-wise, they're going to be the most impacted, those islands up there. They'll be closest to the eye of the storm. Let's see, let's go on down, see. Nothing too much out of that news article, other than the fact there are wind signals up in 7 provinces, according to that. Okay, let's get to a second source here. Okay, pretty much the same information. Signal 1, 7 places. Okay, back over to the comments. See, Guitar Jams, how you doing? Let's see, no typhoons over there in Thailand. Yeah, you know, that's one of the things about living, just to talk about Pattaya, you can't beat the weather. Worst case, it just rains. Low-lying areas flood, but you don't worry about the destructiveness that other places, the Philippines, you have to worry about. You have to worry about it every year. Living over there in Pattaya, that's something you don't worry about. You know, you think about retiring, going to certain places. One of the factors that you need to look at is the weather. And the weather patterns. You know, things you just might not think about. You go somewhere on vacation, you spend a week there, it's beautiful weather, you love it. That's where you want to retire, but you should probably look into the weather patterns and decide if you want to deal with it. It's just a way of life here in the PI. Every year, going to have typhoons, occasional super typhoon. You're going to deal with power outages due to these storms. It's a way of life. Whereas if I were to be sitting in Pattaya, Thailand, I don't deal with this. Just differences. TCB Tiger checking in from Biloxi. How you doing, my friend? Hope you're doing well. I keep reaching for this mouse, but my second mouse ain't working for some reason. Okay, I'll just keep bouncing back and forth. That's the Pagasa graphic there. And then I'll just keep this up on the screen for a little bit for people who are popping in and popping out. That's coming straight from Pagasa. And again, I really like that graphic because the maps look the graphics in motion, the radar, all that looks pretty. But I really like this graphic because it just tells you where that eye is going to be at what day and time. And also it goes from being a super typhoon here to projected to being downgraded to a typhoon there. So you can really take a lot away from that one graphic right there. I really like that. If I had to look at the map or look at this graphic, I mean, this tells me a lot more information because I can plan. I can sit there and say, okay, all right, that thing's gonna be right there. Yeah, it's gonna be raining on Friday if I had to guess. I think that is so much more informative, just that picture right there. But admittedly, that's a lot more what's the word? Engaging? Anyhow, shout out to the folks at Pagasa for putting out that graphic I just had up on the screen. That's the one I like to look at. I just go to the bulletin. Let's see, back to your comments. Okay, Diciembre says the hurricane looks more massive on windy. Yeah, and that's why I put a different graphics up, because they all look different. You can put the filters, you know, you've got the radar, the satellite, the rain, the temperature. Man, technology, this is stuff you can fiddle around with to look at. Let's see, Paulie says, what program are you using for this live feed? Love the layout. Thank you very much. The program that I use is called Ecamm Live. E-C-A-M-M. I think it's got 2 M's. Anyhow, Ecamm Live. And they constantly update the software. It's very user-friendly. Didn't take me too long to figure out how to use it. It's very easy to manipulate everything, change stuff around. You know, there's different packages. There's some free stuff out there. But to be honest, like the free stuff I was trying to use, I couldn't figure it out. Somebody either recommended it or I stumbled onto it. I found this Ecamm Live, and guess what? I could figure it out. And it works, and they keep it updated. And yes, you got to pay for it, but you get what you pay for. So yeah, that's what I'm using. Ecamm Live works well. Highly recommend it. Let's see. Joe says all these guys coming and losing everything. Yeah, it happens all the time. Yeah, Paul, try it out. They got they have a free trial, and that's what I did. I did the free trial. And I tried the others. I just couldn't figure them out. I couldn't get it to work. I stumbled onto this, did the free trial. I was like, okay, I can figure this out. It works. It's easy. I gladly paid for this one. Glad that I did. And there's a learning curve to anything, but very quickly I figured out how to go live on it, and now I'm pretty in tune with making the thing do exactly what I want it to do. Now that's the program that I'm using. Now the switcher that I'm using to run multiple cameras is the ATEM Mini Pro by Blackmagic. It's a 4-camera switcher. So for example, folks, just get off the topic for just a second, talking about technology. Okay, that's camera 1, so you're staring at an FX3. Okay, and then camera 2 There's the feed right there, the goats. You can see the goats, they're just chilling. That's camera 2, and that's actually an old Sony RX100 out there. You can see the goats on my bike and the wind, you know, a couple kilometers per hour winds, just light winds here, no rain. That's your current weather forecast overlooking Subic Bay, light winds. We go to camera 3, which is actually just piped in through a second MacBook Pro. So basically what is shown on the screen on the MacBook Pro is just coming in as a camera feed. And then camera 4, right there, you can't see nothing, and the reason being is because that's the camera that I'm going to use to shoot towards the mountains and all the trees to check wind speed and precipitation. But I gotta wait for the sun to get up, or I'm staring straight into the sun. So right now it's covered by a curtain. But you know, 2 outside facing cameras to give you different perspectives on the weather. And then of course you got this little picture in the picture box there. And you can take that picture in the picture box and make it, you know, any way you want it. I can make it portrait style, different size. You can make it half the screen. But if you're wanting to do a live stream, that's the equipment I use. And I finally figured it out. I just had to stop drinking and read some tutorials and some instructions. It's pretty easy. But that's my 2 pieces of equipment. A Blackmagic ATEM Mini Pro, Ecamm Live for the software, and a couple of MacBook Pros. One's actually just an old MacBook Pro, just an old laptop. It's all you need to use as a computer or as a camera feed, so to speak. Okay, speaking of windy, let's just go back and look at windy. We'll keep putting these different perspectives up there. That's what it looks like on windy.com. That's over on, what is this, AccuWeather. Go over to Zoom Earth. And again, putting the track headed just north of Taipei, Taiwan. Okay, that's the panahan.gov.ph, and then that's Pagasa right there. So if you're just joining us, that's the projected track of Super Typhoon Inday. The international name is Super Typhoon Bobby. But once it enters the PAR, it's given a local name, so the local name is Super Typhoon Inday. Okay, again, that's the latest bulletin issued at 05 this morning, 8 July, which is Wednesday. Next bulletin is going to be at 11 a.m. So about 45 minutes we'll get an updated bulletin with an updated map. And we'll do the same thing I did yesterday. We'll wait for that bulletin to come out, and being that the current weather conditions here, that the goats and the chickens are doing okay, light winds. I don't see really any activity, too much activity going on anytime soon. So after the bulletin, after we get that bulletin issued and I update y'all on what the latest coming from Pagasa, then I'll go ahead and conclude the stream. But my plan is to go live tomorrow, same time, and same deal on Friday. You could probably make one assumption though. Once it starts raining and the winds come, if my live stream suddenly goes out and I don't formally shut down the stream, that probably means the power went out. I think I'm good today, but if it's really coming heavy rain and wind on Friday, well, there's a good chance there might be a brownout. Where we moved over here, we're having about maybe one short brownout a week. Now look, here in the Philippines, anytime the power goes out, you're going to hear somebody holler, brownout. They don't call it a blackout here. So often I get schooled on the different terminology between blackouts and brownouts. Okay, I get it. A brownout technically is what? Like a reduction in power. Well, here in the Philippines, when the electricity goes out, it's called a brownout. That's it. So on a normal times, we have like a short brownout once a week, very brief. But the farther you go out in the province, the more brownouts you're going to have. And when it starts coming a storm, I'm assuming they turn it off on purpose, intentionally, until the storm passes. But not always, but a lot of time if a storm comes, you can pretty much way out in the province bank on having a brownout, no matter how bad it is. And I'm not an electrician, I don't work for the power company, but it just seems like they intentionally at times will shut it down during the worst times of the storm. Let's see, Kev, how you doing? Had some violent storms overnight, calm and bright now. Okay, thank you very much for the report from down that way. Pro Media, thank you very much. Aldemar, how do I deal with the rooster noise? That's a very good question. The rooster noise here in our village is not bad. I know y'all hear that in the background, but for most of the places I've lived, this is not bad. This is bearable, and I actually enjoy it. In the mornings, the rooster crows. The rooster's crow lets you know it's time to wake up. Occasionally during the day, you'll hear one or two like you just heard. It's not like living down in Cebu, where we lived in a $21 beach condo. We had 30 roosters outside our window. Even Flo's got like 30 roosters in her yard. That's all you hear, constant, 24/7. Down there, it was to the extreme, and it can't get on your nerves. Here, to me, it just sounds like living in Mississippi. You like to hear those roosters, but down there next to her spot, you'll hear 30, 40 roosters constantly. And it is sometimes a pain in the ass to deal with. But here, no. It's a light rooster noise. I'm okay with it. I got goats across the way. We got free-range goats, but they don't come in my house unless I open up the gate. It's not like down in her village where they were up on top of the cooking table. Let's see. Seconds Count, how are you? Thank you very much. Checking in from Australia. Let's see. Davo the First. Yeah, it's just background noise. Let's see. Night Owl, is it going to hit Zamboanga? Well, according to everything that we're seeing in red, the super typhoon is heading north. But the southwest monsoon, the Habagat, they're talking about how that thing's going to dump some rain. So from what I've read and what the weathermen have said, the super typhoon is not heading towards Zamboanga. That doesn't mean they're not going to get a ton of rain down there from the Habagat. So I don't know if that answers your question, but I wouldn't be too concerned about the super typhoon hitting Zamboanga. It's just going to sort of impact the north, Luzon, the northern parts of Luzon. But if you read that bulletin, let me pull it back up what they're talking about. Maybe it's not in this bulletin here. I've read so much of this stuff, but no, personally, this is my personal opinion, I wouldn't worry about Super Typhoon Inday impacting Zamboanga. But does that mean they're not going to get a whole bunch of rain? Let's see, let me pull it up. It's one of those things where I read about it, now I got to find it. Okay, so here we go. All right, so let me just read what Pagasa says. There's a weather advisory from both Inday and the southwest monsoon. So the heavy rainfall forecast from Inday, they've listed Batanes on Friday. But now if you go down to the chart talking about the southwest monsoon, the Habagat, tomorrow, Occidental Mindoro, Palawan. Let's just go to Friday. Everything from Zambales down to Manila to Palawan. Okay, well, according to that bulletin, Zamboanga is not on there. I guess I should just stick to the bulletin. We're getting a new bulletin here in 30 minutes, but that's coming straight from Pagasa, the heavy rainfall outlook. But again, talking about if I was sitting in America looking at these graphics and listening to mainstream media, I would be very concerned no matter where my family was at here in the PI, right? If I'm watching the news over there, this huge super typhoon is headed towards the Philippines. But if you dig down and just listen to Pagasa, who are here, they're here forecasting just for the Philippines, and you get down into these advisories, really, where should you be concerned? I mean, if you got family up in Batanes, okay, well, they're very close to where this eye is about to go. Family up here on northern Luzon, okay, is going to get hit by the outer bands. So again, I like looking at the local stuff. I really like that graphic right there put out by Pagasa. If you go over to Fox News or any of the mainstream media in the U.S., their reporting will scare you, right? And then I think that sticking with Pagasa and just looking at the local data, what they're putting out, the exact areas, Zamboanga, I wouldn't be too worried. Batanes, it's a higher level of concern if I had family in one of the two places, right? See Douglas tuning in from Houston. Yeah, we're just going to get whipped from the back side of it as it heads north. But just like my friend Night Owl said, we can deal with rain. People are used to it here. And my buddy Kevin said yesterday, been here 15 years. They always head north, living over here on Subic Bay. Usually just get some rain. A lot of rain. Low-lying areas of flood a little bit. And typically that's what I've seen when I've been over here in this region. With all this said, if that storm does not go on that track and continues in a westerly direction, well, obviously we're going to be having a different conversation tomorrow. But again, I'm not a weatherman. I just have to go by and look at and interpret here on my stream what the weathermen and the meteorologists are putting out. So it's one of them things, we hope that they're right on the money with their track. But if it doesn't take that right turn, well, where's it going to go? It comes straight for us, right? All right, so 120 thumbs ups. Hit that like button, whatever platform you're watching. Well, it's either here or Twitch, because the other two are down. If you don't mind, if you could hit that thumbs up button for us, I would certainly appreciate it. It helps out with the Google squirrels who decide whether or not they put our thumbnail on your screen. So let's see, 120 thumbs up. I got 1 thumbs down. I'll take a thumbs down too. If you'll just take some type of action, it helps out with the algorithm. Let's see, Donald. Until now, not even a single drop of rain. Still feeling the summer. Yeah, so far right now where we're at. Okay, let's just go to the updated current weather conditions in the mountains overlooking Subic Bay. There you go, right there. That is the current conditions at the moment. It does look like we got a little bit of breeze going on, as you can tell by the trees swaying and the laundry out on the line. So we do have a little bit of wind going on, but zero precipitation. Just a warm, beautiful day here. Nice cool breeze in the mountains overlooking Subic Bay. That's your accurate, at the moment, weather report. Now, I'm not a meteorologist, so I can't predict what's going to happen in 5 minutes. But I promise you right now, those are the conditions outside of my crib. A little bit of wind picking up. That's all we're seeing. All right, and again, about 30 minutes, we'll get the updated tropical cyclone bulletin. Should be bulletin number 3. We should get that from Pagasa. Matter of fact, let me go over there and refresh the screen. Let's see. Well, I'll leave that up and I'll check it over here. Maybe if I refresh the screen, they've already put it out, but I don't think so. They're a few minutes late yesterday. Got it about 11:15. Nope, looks like the same one is up. Okay, and again, I'll put this link back in the description if you want to see this graphic and the bulletin that I'm looking at, so you don't have to try to figure out where I'm getting it from. It's right there. Okay, that's from Pagasa. That one was issued at 5 this morning. The next one's going to be issued at 11. There's your up-to-date bulletin. Bobby Martin, how you doing? Thank you very much. Coming in loud and clear. And folks, let me know how the audio is today. I did some EQ tweaks at the last minute. And it's one of those things where you can listen to yourself, you can record it, but like when it goes to YouTube and you play it on a TV, that's where I've got to evaluate it. So like I'll truly evaluate it tonight when I sit down and listen to myself for 5 minutes on the TV. All trial and error. Let's see, Aldamar's asking, how's the flooding situation or concern in your area? Okay, thank you very much for the question. again, where we're at right here, we're nestled up to some mountains. We're on a little bit of elevation. So when it comes a heavy rain, that stuff is just going down the street. So for us, luckily, I don't think we're concerned with any type of flooding where we're at. We're fine. If there were to be a tsunami warning, we got a hill right behind us. We run up the hill. So not a concern here for us. But again, a lot of places, low-lying areas, even in Barretto, our street used to turn into a river every time it rained. Couldn't leave the house. Our house was fine because it was built up on some elevation. However, the neighbors across the street got flooded out every time. So there are a lot of local folks who do get flooded out every time it comes a good rain. And what do? They just got to wait till the waters go down and sweep out the water, start over. Just a way of life. Same way a lot of places over in Thailand. Let's see, I laugh, how you doing? Let's see, is that Charlie? How you doing? Yeah, we're good to go on supplies. Okay, now the other, let's see, I just put the link to the Tropical Cyclone Bulletin. Let's see, where's the other link? Okay, I'll keep putting the links. People are popping in and out. This is a link for this graphic. Let me put it back up there, or this map, whatever you want to call it. And I'll refresh the screen just in case it's not tracking on its own. Let's refresh the screen, make sure we got an up-to-date look. So that model that you're seeing right there is the link that I just put into the chat. Again, coming straight from the Philippine government. Okay, at this point, is it even really newsworthy? Doesn't look like it's going to hit the Philippines. Okay, that's a very good question. What I'm hoping is the same thing the past two storms I covered. They were big nothing burgers. They were just combat ineffective over the location I was at. I'm quite fine with that. So yeah, hopefully this thing just goes north. We just get a little rain, not even newsworthy. But we're making the assumption that it's going to turn north. If it doesn't turn north, it's going to be a different story. As long as it turns north, yeah, I don't think we got too much to worry about. But again, one of the reasons I like to cover this is if I were sitting in the States watching any type of mainstream media report, I would be concerned. Hey, there's a super typhoon headed towards the Philippines. But if you really dig down into Pagasa, what they're putting out, without the spin, without the sensationalism, then you learn, okay, all right, there's a super typhoon coming, but number one, it's going to track north. Number two, it's really going to only affect the northern part of Luzon, Batanes. My family lives down in the south. Okay, they'd probably be okay. So that's a good question. Is it newsworthy? I think at this point it still is, because we're all making the assumption it's going to turn north. If it does not turn north, then yeah, it's going to be very newsworthy. But we're all putting our trust and faith in the weatherman. Okay, so it's 10:42. Folks, with that, I'm going to take like a 2-minute break. Okay, I'm going to take a 2-minute break, and what I'm going to do is just take myself out of the window there. So y'all feel free to continue the conversation. But OSD's got to take a 2-minute, I make that a 3-minute 10-100 break. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back with you. Okay? Be right back with you. Okay, my friends, I'm back. Had to take a short break there. All right, if you're just joining us, we're covering Super Typhoon Inday. International name is Super Typhoon Bobby, which has entered the Philippine area of responsibility. That graphic right there shows the track, putting it heading north of Taipei, Taiwan. Let me put the latest bulletin from Pagasa up on the screen. There we go, right there. So I'll keep that up there if you're just joining us. That's the projected track of the storm, where it's going to be at what particular date and time. Looks like by 2 a.m. on Friday, 10 July, it's getting downgraded to a typhoon. And in a few minutes here, we should be getting a fresh bulletin, supposed to be issued at 11 a.m. from Pagasa. So once that comes out and we cover that, I'll go ahead and conclude today's stream. But just stay with me until we get that latest bulletin to see what the latest news is. Let's see, Bill, how you doing? Rams G, how you doing? All right, so 134 thumbs ups. Thank y'all very much for those thumbs ups. Helps out with the algorithm, the Google squirrels. Let me refresh and see if there's a new bulletin out. Nope, still the same bulletin there that I got up on the screen. Okay, I'll give you a look at current weather conditions here. We're in the mountains overlooking the beautiful Subic Bay. So if you want to know what the current weather conditions are, I'm going to give you a live feed looking out my carport here. Boom, there you go. So the weather conditions here overlooking Subic Bay would be light wind, as indicated by the swaying of the trees, the grass, and the laundry hanging out on the line. And I don't see where my goats are or the cows, but basically calm conditions here overlooking Subic Bay. No problem. I got to set my secondary camera up here in just a second, and I will show you a different direction looking at the mountains. A lot of trees over there help determine wind speeds. So I'm going to disappear here for just a second. Let me get my other camera set up. Y'all don't go anywhere. Okay. All right, so let's take a look at the current weather conditions here overlooking Subic Bay. Let me see if my camera does this some justice. Okay, there you go right there. That's my current weather conditions. We're here in the mountains overlooking the beautiful Subic Bay. Looks like we got cloudy skies, a little bit of wind starting to pick up, and my old lady's laundry is still on the line. That would tend to indicate that there is no rainfall at this particular moment. If you hear somebody say, "Oh crap," and run out there, it means it's starting to rain. Why? Because her laundry's getting wet. I need to change my ISO here. Open up the window. It's a little bit too bright. Let's go to auto. That might be a little bit too dark. Manual, keep it out of 2000. Let me know, is that too bright or too dark on my camera here? If I need to brighten it up, I can. Okay, but there you go. That's a live feed near Subic Bay. We're here in Zambales. Starting to see some clouds roll in. A little bit of wind starting to pick up. So that is a 100% accurate at the moment now, weather report from here on Subic Bay. I can't tell you what's going to happen in 5 minutes. I can't predict the weather. I'm not a meteorologist. But I can show you that live feed and tell you right now. I'm looking out the window. Yep, exactly what you see on your screen is what I'm seeing out my window. A little bit of light winds, clouds rolling in. Okay, I'm gonna do one thing. If you're watching, I've got what's called an ND filter, and I've got it on the highest level. I'm gonna drop the ND down, and I just want you to tell me if the detail in the clouds is better or worse. All right, give me just a second. I'm about to click the ND. Hold on a second. Okay, so now it's at an ND level 2. Did you notice anything different? Somebody leave it in the comments. I know that's being real particular, but I try to give you the best quality that I can come up with. And sometimes the best way to figure out what's the best is just to ask you. So anybody that's watching that up on their 85-inch screen, how's the video quality? It's sort of a trade-off. I can lighten it up, but then you lose some of the detail in the clouds. You know what, maybe what I need to do is put a sign up there telling people where this is, right? I'll have to work on that. Okay, so back to the graphic. Now that I got both my cameras set up, ready to go. There we go. We're waiting on an updated bulletin from Pagasa. That's the latest bulletin on Super Typhoon Inday, issued at 5 a.m. Should be getting a new one here shortly. But if you're just joining us, that's the track. This thing is supposed... Okay, let me refresh the screen. So it looks like we do have the new bulletin. Here we go. That one was at 5. Here is the brand new bulletin issued by Pagasa, 8 July, which is a Wednesday morning here. So just a minute to take a look at that. And they've also issued a new weather advisory, number 8, for heavy rainfall outlook. So we'll go over that in a second. So this is what we've been waiting on. Let's see. Minimal to minor impacts from strong winds are possible within any of the areas under wind signal number 1. The highest that may be hoisted throughout Inday's passage is a 2 or a 3. So that's what they're predicting. The highest to be is a 2 or a 3. The enhanced southwest monsoon, the Habagat, and the periphery, in other words, the outer bands of Super Typhoon Inday, will bring strong to gale force gusts over the following areas. Today is Wednesday. Pangasinan, Zambales, Bataan, Calabarzon, most of, did we pronounce that Mimaropa? Is that like a common way to pronounce that? Bicol region, most of Visayas, and most of Mindanao. So somebody was asking about Zamboanga earlier. And then tomorrow, 9 July, most of the country. Friday, 10 July, most of the country. A gale warning is in effect over the eastern seaboards of northern and central Luzon and Visayas. Okay, for more details, refer to gale warning number 1 issued at 11 a.m. today. Now, what I do wish that Pagasa would do is hyperlink these other bulletins, because if you're not familiar with where to find these on their site, it would be just, if they would hyperlink that, it would be so much easier to find this information. But a great graphic right here. This is the one I really like. It shows you where the typhoon is going, what time the eye is going to be there, when it gets downgraded. That's the most important graphic that I like to look at. And a really good job on that one. Let's see. Okay, the 24-hour sea condition outlook. Very rough seas over the following coastal waters. Let's scroll down here. Up to 4.5 meters. The seaboard of Isabela, northern seaboard of Aurora, and so forth. What does this mean for you, the tourist or the traveler? Okay, the Philippines is what? It's a collection of islands. It's an archipelago. Everywhere to get from island to island, you're going to take a ferry or a pump boat. I mean, you can take a flight, right? But if you're taking a ferry, at some point, they stop the ferries from running for your safety, for everybody's safety. The ferries do not run. And so if you're planning on going from this island to this island, you want to keep an eye on what they're putting out, because at some point the ferries get shut down temporarily. And again, it's for your safety. Might not think about that. You know, you're on vacation, you're backpacking around, drinking, having a great time, and not paying attention to the weather. Okay, you get to the port, ferries ain't running. Why? Because of these advisories. There you go. Sea travel is risky for all types of tonnage. All mariners must remain in port, or if underway, seek shelter or safe harbor as soon as possible until winds and waves subside. So again, if you're a tourist, you go to the port, hey, when are the ferries going to be running again? Well, they can't give you a date and time. Whenever the winds and the waves subside to where they say, okay, they can start running again. So there's all the information. The takeaway is what I just talked about. Okay, here's the track and intensity outlook. It must be emphasized that heavy rainfall and severe winds may still be experienced in localities outside the landfall point. Okay? It's forecast to move generally west-northwestward over the next 24 hours. It will then turn northwestward while remaining over the Philippine Sea and may be nearest to extreme northern Luzon by Friday, 10 July, before heading towards the southern islands of Japan and the sea north of Taiwan. Inday is forecast to exit the Philippine area of responsibility by Saturday, 11 July, and make landfall over the eastern coast of mainland China by Sunday, 12 July. So again, it's expected to turn, let's see, it will then turn northwestward. Okay, it's going to maintain its strength as a super typhoon until tomorrow, which is 9 July. And then it will downgrade to a typhoon by tomorrow evening. It will gradually weaken, but it will likely remain a typhoon throughout the remaining forecast period. Let's talk about the strength. It's got maximum sustained winds of 195 kilometers per hour near the center, with gustiness up to 240 kilometers per hour. And there's your positions there. Okay, so again, that's the latest, issued at 11 a.m. from Pagasa, 8 July. Today's Wednesday. The next advisory will be at 5 p.m. Next advisory at 5 p.m. So, if you're just joining me and you wonder where you can check out these bulletins, I'm going to put it again into the chat. Okay, right there in the chat. That's where I'm getting this from. Now, I've got to figure out where to go for the other. Well, you know what? Actually, I've got it pulled up here. So there's different bulletins that they put out. So that was weather advisory number 7, and I think if I refresh my screen, there we go. Now we're on to weather advisory number 8. Again, the only thing I wish Pagasa would do is just hyperlink, so people don't have to try to find these. They're great advisories, a lot of information, but it's sometimes difficult finding where to go. Okay, so there we go. Friday, from tropical cyclone Inday and southwest monsoon, again Batanes. Okay, Batanes, north of Luzon, you know, the islands up there north of Luzon, they're very close to where the eye is projected to go. So Friday noon to Saturday noon, July 11th, 50 to 100 millimeters of rain, obviously localized flooding. And then let's come on down. They've broken it up to the rainfall outlook due to the southwest monsoon. So you got two different weather, systems going on here. Okay, so today until tomorrow, let's see, I'll just focus on where I'm at. I'm sitting in Zambales. So Friday at noon to Saturday at noon, Zambales is looking at 50 to 100 millimeters of rain. So you have to look at where you're sitting. Just figure out where you're sitting at and you'll know what's going on. But where we're sitting right now, they're saying Friday at noon to Saturday at noon, we're going to get a bunch of rain. Okay, give you another look at the current weather conditions I'm looking at here, overlooking Subic Bay. That's pointing out my window right there. So I'm looking out my window. Looks like we got some clouds rolling in. We got the winds picking up a little bit. That's what I'm looking at. And if we look at the other way, there's looking out the other side of the crib. Obviously a little bit of wind going on. That's my current conditions here in Zambales. No rain. Just a warm, breezy, mostly cloudy at times, partly cloudy at times, beautiful day here in the Philippines. Okay, back to the warning. Again, that's not warning, the bulletin. That is the weather advisory number 8. Let me look at the URL. Weather advisory. Let me see if I can put that in the chat for you. Because again, if you go to their main site, you go to the home page of their site, they've got all the menu tabs up there, and you got to figure out which one to go to get down to the meat and potatoes of the information. Let's see, cyclone. It takes me a minute to find it. I just type in Pagasa. Let's see, cyclone advisory. Nope, that's not what the one I want. What weather/weather advisory. /weather. Weather-advisory. If I type that in right, there we go. Okay, so this weather advisory, I'm going to put it in the chat. Again, this is number 8, just issued. There you go, right there. So for me, those are like the 2 documents that are sort of the meat and potatoes of what I want to know about what's going on. And then let's go to, that's Pagasa's graphic, but this is panahan.gov.ph. So, you know, like if you wanted to put something up in the background and keep an eye on it, you know, while you're walking through the house, just put that up on the big screen. That's probably what I would put up right there. And I will put that on the screen in the chat for anybody who's just joining me. Let me get it pulled up. There you go. All right, I'll go back to your chat. But basically, we just covered what's going on. See, Eddie, how you doing? Yeah, everything's going well here, my friend. No problems here on the beautiful Subic Bay. Let's see, Okie Harley. LMAO went from war correspondent to meteorologist. I sure did. What's next? Ain't no telling. Yeah, the typhoon center may miss us, but the outer bands flooding can be devastating. Absolutely. Absolutely. So we don't want to downplay this or let our guard down just because the eye is headed north. It's a very good point. That's a very good point. You know, especially if you're in a low-lying area. Let's see, Clyde, how you doing? All right, so again, this is Around the Horn, 139 thumbs ups. Thank y'all very much for that. Thank you very much for tuning in. Thank everybody who sent super chats supporting our adventures here. Certainly appreciate it. So folks, I'll start winding down the stream as there's not much action going on. I will fire up the stream tomorrow morning, same time, around the same time, 8 or 9 a.m. local time. And we'll go over the same information that I've covered, coming straight from Pagasa. I'll show you the current weather conditions where I'm at. I don't know, maybe by this time tomorrow, maybe we'll be getting some rain. But that's the current weather conditions overlooking the beautiful Subic Bay here in Zambales. Let me know what you think of the camera angles. Does that help you accurately get a feel for what's going on here? Is that a good angle? Is this a good angle so you can see the current weather conditions? Let me know down in the comments where I can make improvements on my reporting. I guess I need to put some type of sign that says where this is at. So if you're tuning in, you can immediately see, okay, this is near Subic Bay. But yeah, any suggestions on the audio, the graphics, the video, the style, the format, greatly appreciated to help out my weather station here. Thank you very much, Mike. Certainly appreciate it. Let me go take a look around the horn, see if I'm still live on Twitch. Got to check. Yep, still live on Twitch. I'm going to tell you, I don't know much about the platform. I just figured out how to add that as a stream, but I'm just really happy with the video quality over on Twitch. It's like there's nothing degraded. When I go to Twitch and I look at it, it's just like very good quality. Instagram shut me down after 1 hour, and the Facebook did not get connected for some reason. Not sure what's going on there. Okay, folks, with that, I'm going to start shutting her down. Please leave any comments down below, any input, constructive criticism. I certainly appreciate it. And we will see y'all tomorrow morning. And for some reason, I don't go live. It might be because, there's a brownout. Once it really gets to raining and winds and what have you, there's a good probability we'll have a brownout for a short period of time. So if I'm not live, I'm sure I'm doing fine. I just may not have electricity. I guess I could fire up the old iPhone. All right, well, y'all have a good one, folks. Hit that thumbs up button, subscribe button. Helps out with the Google squirrels. And we will see y'all tomorrow. Everybody be safe. Keep a close eye on the weather report coming out of Pagasa. And old single dad, I'm signing off. I'm out of here as soon as I find this finish and end broadcast button. We'll see y'all tomorrow, my friends. Peace out.